The moon Europa hung silently in the cold blackness of space, its icy surface reflecting the distant light of Jupiter. The barren landscape was a ghostly white, save for the occasional shimmer of ice ridges stretching toward the horizon. Beneath its icy crust, however, the true mystery of Europa waited, its vast liquid ocean, locked away from the world above, hidden beneath miles of frozen ice. It was here, on this distant moon, that Dr. Jonathan Temple and Commander Sam Marcon found themselves on a mission unlike any other. Even with the fastest technology available, it still took 18 months to reach the moon, in a crammed space filled mostly with equipment designed to keep them alive. Their spaceship, the Don Quixote, was navigating the jagged perils of deep space to drill into the ice and sample the vast ocean beneath. The mission was simple in theory: drill down into Europa's ocean, take samples, and return with data that might answer one of humanity's most profound questions: could life exist beyond Earth? But as John and Sam approached the mission's final stages, the simple task was about to become something else, much more perilous. John gazed at the controls of the drilling system from the lower landing module, a faint hum resonating through the cramped cockpit. His gloved hands danced over the touchscreens, helping guide the drill bit deeper through Europa's frozen surface. Back home, scientists had theorized this area to potentially be an area of thin ice that may be only 2 to 3 miles thick compared to other estimates that ranged anywhere from 9 to 20. The drilling machine was an engineering marvel. John knew little of its internal construction besides what he needed to run it effectively. The machine itself resembled a large beach ball with an equally large tungsten carbide drilling head. Inside the drilling head was a nuclear core that powered it and heated the drill bit. The engineers thought that the layers of ice would keep the drilling bit cool enough to prevent warping, but hot enough to assist with melting the ice. Inside the beach ball were 5 miles of a hollow nanofilament that would serve as the communication between the drilling apparatus and their drilling module. The machine would crawl like a spider through the ice, laying an indestructible line that could send data and water samples back through it. The drilling machine was on a one-way trip, as it would not be able to return to the surface. John just hoped the filament didn't collapse, but the engineers hypothesized the line would remain open as it would freeze once it was released. He could do little but trust the process at this point. They had been drilling for hours now, each layer of ice revealing a little more about the moon's ancient past. "How's the depth?" Sam's voice crackled through the intercom. He was above the drilling module in the main command area, staring at the readouts showing the outside temperatures and wind speeds. Their ship was well anchored into the ice, but the outside temps and wind were still anxiety-producing. "We're at 5,000 meters," John replied, his voice steady despite the tension that hummed through him. "We should break through any second. Ground-penetrating radar shows we're just about there." "Good. Let's get those samples and go home," Sam said. He was eager to leave the moon behind. The ice was cold, the isolation unbearable, and Europa's silence and wind were oppressive. Still, they were both aware that the discovery of a lifetime beneath the surface could change everything. John had heard the rumors from previous non-manned missions about anomalies in the data, disturbing patterns that seemed too perfect to be natural. But his job was to collect the data, not speculate about it. Still, as the drill reached its final depth, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was waiting for them below. What kind of life could exist in such an environment? The drill's final push sent a jolt through the cabin as the line locked. John jumped as the system registered the breakthrough and the sensors went off. "It's done," John said. "We've actually broken through." "Time to pull up some samples," Sam said, not wasting any time. But as the drill stopped its rotations, something unusual happened. A sudden vibration pulsed through the ship, like a low-frequency hum, barely perceptible but unmistakable. "What the hell?" Sam said, gripping the back of his neck. John nodded, but his mind was elsewhere. "It's not from the drill. Something's down there." The humming grew louder, resonating through the walls of the spacecraft, vibrating in their bones. And then, a sudden flash on the screens. The data was shifting rapidly, as if the ocean below had responded to the intrusion. John looked at the monitor showing the ocean temperatures and pressure. The ocean's temperature had changed rapidly, which shouldn't be possible. And then came the communication. A pulse of thoughts. Cold, sharp, and alien. John grabbed his temples and gasped. His mind suddenly flooded with images, blurry and incomprehensible ones. Flashes of dark waters, structures beneath the ice, and what looked like shapes? Tendrils? Huge shadows moving in the depths, and then a feeling, so alien and vast, a consciousness that was aware of them. I don't understand, John whispered, clutching his head. Something is trying to communicate, but it's not comprehensible. Sam, on the other hand, was frozen in place, eyes wide, mouth slightly open. I can feel it, he said. John nodded, still holding his head, his thoughts crashing into one another. Telepathy has been theorized for years, but no one had ever encountered such a phenomenon outside of the realm of science fiction. The pressure in the air seemed to intensify, like a weight bearing down on their skulls. The thoughts kept coming, faster now, but still jumbled, incomprehensible. Images of vast alien cities, of creatures unlike anything they had ever seen. One shape, curved, shifting, beyond massive, loomed in his mind. A being with multiple limbs, translucent yet iridescent, a massive hammerhead-shaped skull with eyes unblinking as they seemed to stare directly at them with an unparalleled intelligence. It's not trying to harm us, John said, his voice shaky. It's confused, like we are. He looked up towards Sam, panic creeping into his voice. I just can't make any sense of it. Sam blinked rapidly as if trying to shake off the pressure in his head. Try to focus then. Maybe it's trying to tell us something. But that was easier said than done. John closed his eyes, trying to focus, but the pain was intense. The flood of alien thoughts continued, overwhelming his senses. He saw flashes of memories, strange and fragmented, images of the ocean, of creatures in the depths, of something ancient and sentient, long ago left behind in the deep waters. Then came a word. No, not a word, but a feeling, clear and sharp, not in their language, but in their minds. It echoed inside their heads, reverberating with an eerie resonance. Trapped. Did you hear that? John asked. Sam nodded slowly. Yeah, I heard it, he said. Before John could respond, a sudden clarity pierced through the mental fog. He saw it, an image so vivid that it almost felt real. A structure, buried deep beneath the ice, surrounded by the silhouettes of strange skeletal forms, and at the center, an object, glowing faintly, pulsing with an alien energy. We have to go down there, John said, his voice trembling with excitement. It's telling us to seek it out. It wants us to find something, to free it. Free it, Sam said, his voice laced with uncertainty. We don't even know what this thing is. We're on the verge of something incredible, John replied, his breath shallow. I think it's showing us where to go. A long silence stretched between them, the hum of the alien consciousness still vibrating in the air. John didn't notice the blood dripping from his nose and the corner of his eyes. The strange thoughts surged again, the alien presence pressing in on them with an intensity that felt almost like an invitation. It was as if the creature, or the beings beneath the ice, had been waiting for them. Warning alarms broke the unsettling silence as the drill began descending faster than it was designed for, the filament unspooling at an impossible rate. Whatever it is, it has our drill, Sam shouted. We need to sever the line. Now. No, John shouted back. It's showing us. The line is designed to be indestructible. It's anchored to our ship. It will compromise the hull. Sever the damn line, Sam yelled. That's an order. John sat unmoving, watching the line readout almost reach its maximum before going taut. A loud crack could be heard outside. It's gonna pull us down, damn it, Sam yelled, and he quickly started the emergency evacuation protocols. John sat there transfixed, lost in the alien thoughts that floated through his head, until a sharp ping could be heard and the readouts went black. John snapped out of his trance as their ship engines roared to life. Line has been severed, Sam announced. Get your ass back up here now. John quickly climbed out of the lower module and strapped in next to Sam as they began their lift-out procedures. Warning alarms blared as the ice began to calve in areas, like something massive was trying to break through. They began to ascend as a huge spray erupted from the ice. They never saw the massive tentacle that slowly snaked its way out through the borehole, touching the anchors that had held their ship so securely to the surface. The mission, which had started with the simple goal of drilling through ice, had now become something far more extraordinary. John and Sam had stood at the precipice of discovery, their minds locked in a tenuous connection with an intelligence beneath Europa's frozen surface, not knowing what lay underneath and the intentions it had. John's thoughts turned back to the massive creatures under the ice as they rocketed upwards with ship alarms slowly silencing. He wondered how long these poor creatures had been entombed beneath the massive sheets of ice. He thought maybe the massive sprays of water vapor observed on Europa were these creatures endlessly probing the frozen shell for places where the ice was thinner, in the hopes of one day escaping from their prison in the depths of Europa. As they ascended back into the atmosphere, they knew they had definitely answered the question to, "Are we alone?" But in discovering the answer, it also created more. What were these strange beings, and how long had they been there? John knew that he wanted to see something, but he would never be able to understand what that was. He hoped that by studying the information that they did obtain, that they may one day be able to return to Europa and finally get their answers to what ancient knowledge and creatures hid in its dark depths.